Alright, good morning. This is a continuation of the previous lesson. I know it's kind of just jumping into things, but let's continue with the Black Power movement. We stopped and if the civil rights movement was successful, the Black Power movement would not have existed. Black Power movement successfully argued that raising the self-esteem of African Americans was very important. The counterpoint brought to them by the other team was the fact that self-esteem isn't legal. It's not a legal argument for African Americans. It didn't actually gain them any rights. And then I recall that you guys argued that it wasn't about gaining rights, but about uplifting and empowering.
Yes.
Alright, so now we move on to the social programs. I'd like to ask civil rights movement, do you have a question or a response that you would like to ask the Black Power movement about the social programs? Remember, the speaker, you know which one you are.
Yes, miss.
Oh, by the way, sorry, I got a question yesterday, can we swap speakers? I will allow you to swap speakers, but then one person must speak for the whole way through. Do you not have a response to that point on social programs? Remember, there's donuts at stake here. Okay, listen.
They are just social programs. You want to ask why are you not by social programs?
No, we are by social programs. We didn't finish it yesterday.
So the social program goes from their rights, or it was only for black people.
Okay, so yeah, you have to ask the team, but I will rephrase a question for you guys. She basically said that was the social programs only for black people, or did it include everyone? Am I correct in saying that?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait. Okay, must have the question again.
Was the social programs only for black people, or did it include everyone? What are you trying to do?
I have an answer.
Okay, you got an answer?
Our Black Power movement. Yeah.
What are you?
Now we
Okay, the discussion is taking a bit long. It was quite a simple question. Okay, so repeating the question one more time. It was asked, was the Black Power movement's social programs only for black people, or was everyone included?
It was not only for black people.
Okay.
It was basically for everyone, but mostly black people joined because more of white people were involved in the CRM.
Okay, so the response is, it wasn't only for black people. However, white people would choose rather to join the CRM.
Yes.
Okay. As far as I understand, that point is not accurate. So, Black Power movement was all about black separatism, where black people basically take care of themselves and take care of their own. However, can I give you the actual point that you could have made?
Yes, ma'am.
So, the reason the social programs needed to be for black people only is because white people already had those things. And government wasn't providing it for black people. So they had to do it for themselves. Okay. Can I give you that point?
Yes, yes.
Alright, cool. Moving on to the next thing. Self-determination. So do you have a question for them about self-determination? So self-determination means, like I said before, where black people do things for themselves.
We would say the civil rights movement is the one that gave the platform for Black Power movement to be established. Black Power movement.
Not to me.
Black Power movement came from civil rights. As they were able to stand for themselves and have self-determination, it came from civil rights movement. If it wasn't for civil rights movement, Black Power movement wouldn't have existed. They would have gained the power to stand for themselves. Civil rights movements created the platform for them to stand for their rights and to discover themselves. That's why they're able to create Black Power movement and able to express themselves. It was all thanks to civil rights movement.
Can I ask a question? Was your group successful in that?
It was
That's what we're trying to prove.
How was it successful in bringing about change?
It was successful, as you said before, that they created the voting rights and civil rights.
Was it just that?
Okay, I think we're going a little bit off the point. The point is about self-determination. But we will get to that point where you discuss at the end who was more successful, because at this point, you guys have heard both arguments.
But
from
no,
both
she's
sides.
not asking a question, she's raising a statement.
She's raising a statement,
Yes.
so she's giving a closing argument when she's supposed to be asking a question.
Yes, which is that.
Or giving a response. So, can you rephrase your statement so that you speak to this idea of self-determination?
Miss, self-determination, Miss saying something about
Doing things for
for
yourself.
them only.
For
for
black
themselves,
people to
stand
stand
for
up. For
themselves.
black people to stand up for themselves.
Would like to ask you,
Okay, here we go.
that did self-determination help you to get your rights from the law?
It helped 100% because
Not
most
for me.
it helped for like 100% because most of our people were able to gain more power. We were able to change things. More things were changed. What can I say? Okay, let me just say it worked. It worked like it was. It worked.
Can you give an example of how it worked? So self-determination, you have actually given an example of it before it's on the board.
Okay. We had social programs which helped black people because, like Miss said, they didn't receive anything from the government, so it helped. It was there for black power people. But black, yes, for black people.
Alright, cool. So now both teams have given their points. What I would like you to do, I'm going to give you 1 minute each to come up with a closing argument. What is a closing argument? It's like your conclusion. You need to make sure that in your closing argument, you are convincing me and Miss Diamonds that your side is right. Okay? So it needs to be very strong, very powerful, because this is the last thing you are allowed to say. 60 seconds. Go for it.
Are we allowed to
Bring up their points. You can't ask questions. It's closing statement. So you had an opportunity to ask your questions and to use that information from their answers.
So in our closing argument, can we state the fact and then also close?
Yes.
The argument?
Yes. Sorry. No, giving a fact. So for example, if they asked you a question and they got a response. So for example, one of the things they asked was the social program only for black people. Then they can say in their closing argument, because the social programs were only for black people, it was racist, for example. But they cannot ask a new question. Okay. Where am I? 30 seconds. Are we ready? Okay, so should I allow Black Power movement to go first with closing arguments?
Yes.
Civil rights movement to go first with closing arguments? Let's look at going. Let's go. Where's mine? Yeah, but the thing is with the closing argument, it's just your last point. It doesn't matter.
You want to be remembered about it.
Okay. What one is heads and what one is tails? Okay, here we go. Heads or tails? Tails. Okay. Don't touch. Oh! Okay, then it landed on heads.
Who's it? You guys. We didn't choose.
You obviously I choose tails, you guys are heads. Okay. So, are you ready? Go for it. Tulani? Okay, I need you guys to be quiet so that they can give their closing argument.
Our closing statement that one of the greatest achievements of the civil rights movement led to a great social and economic mobility for African Americans across the nation, and banned racial discrimination, provided great access to resources for women, religious minorities, African Americans, and low-income families. We say that civil rights movement did a great job because it is the one that created the Black Power movement. If we check, Black Power movement was only based on black people, which somehow it was racist. And there were so many people who died during the Black Power movement. Which served no justice. That's why we say civil rights movement.
Okay, so is that your argument? Thank you very much. Black Power movement, your closing argument, please.
In conclusion, it is suggested that the failures of the civil rights movement subsequently led to the rise of Black Power. The methods used during the civil rights movement, like passive resistance and civil disobedience, felt inadequate to the Black people. Therefore, it appeared that there was a need for alternative methods to achieve equality. This was done through the ideologies of Malcolm X, which was part of the Black Power movement, and Stokely Carmichael, and the Black Panther Party. Thus, it can be said that the Black Power movement was successful in changing the lives of African Americans to a greater extent.
So after careful deliberation, we have decided that the Black Power movement